This Real Agriculture podcast is brought to you by Genesis Fertilizers. Nitrogen fertilizer is your farm's #1 expense. Farmers are working together through Genesis Fertilizers to solve the problem of high prices and security of supply by planning a state-of-the-art nitrogen plant. Security and earnings through ownership is the solution. Visit Genesis today at genesisfertilizers.com to learn more.
We're joined by Dr. Joe Outlaw from Texas A&M University. Dr. Outlaw, it's great to chat with you again.
Thanks. Good to be here.
Yeah, okay. So I guess give us the goods here. What are the odds that we're able to get a farm bill here before the election?
Well, I just take one step back. I mean, I had said all last year that it really couldn't happen, and it has to do with where they were at in the process. They really weren't far enough along whenever the deadline was coming. And so fast forward to now, what's different? Well, they gave us an extension through this year, so the pressure's off until September 30th of next year. But the question really is when are we ever going to fund the government? Because I don't see them taking up a farm bill before they get the government funded. And they kick the can down the path a little bit again to March. And so I've been saying in my public talks that really March 1 is when all the primaries start for the presidential election, and it matters. People are going to go and start running for the re-election in the House and that for this year. So I had been saying that if we didn't get a farm bill by March, that it would have to be after the election. And then after the election is interesting because the chairwoman Stabenow won't be here anymore in the Senate. She's not running again. There's people who think the Senate might flip Republican, which would change a lot of the dynamics there. So long story short, my answer is it's going to happen in 25.
Oh, okay. Wait, and you know what's interesting? I heard former member of Congress Colin Peterson talk about, it was a couple weeks ago, where he mentioned, maybe we should, what we have is pretty good, almost like maybe we're better off to hold with what we have. Is that how you feel?
Not necessarily. They've got to make some changes. We haven't kept up with our group at Texas A&M. We've done a lot of work for Congress, helping them set reference prices. That's the protection prices we have in this country. We helped them set those, and I can tell you that the data that we used were costs from 2012. So those protection prices haven't been changed since the 2014 Farm Bill initiated them, and so we are way behind on keeping up with inflation, and way behind keeping up with the big run up in input costs that we had 2 years ago. And so we really need. I mean, you can have a safety net. That's the thing. You can have the safety net we have is fine. And it still acts like a safety net. It just means that farmers are going to have to lose a lot more before they ever start getting covered. And we need to raise the safety net so that they have less far to fall, like a trapeze type thing. And we need to do that. And getting that done is really important.
Well, it looks right now like the Senate is going kind of a twofold approach. We've got a Stabenow bill that presents farmers with the choice between crop insurance or the traditional farm programs, and a GOP bill that is more traditional with higher reference prices.
Right.
So just talk about those differences, and then because we've talked about this choice before, right? Choosing between the two.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, the choice is a little bit different because in the past we had a choice on our Title I, our primary safety net, the ARC or PLC, the price loss coverage or the revenue coverage. What she's referring to is maybe making some area plans cheaper. And if you take that area plan, you can't have ARC or PLC. So it's a choice between crop insurance and Title I programs. Not so much a choice between ARC or PLC type thing. That's a departure because in this country, The farmers love crop insurance, and rightly so. We think we have a very sound crop insurance program. But what happens when the crop insurance initial prices that largely in this country are based off of the futures market, when the prices come down, which they are coming down, your protection goes with it on the crop insurance side. So at some point, your protection prices on crop insurance are going to be lower than your cost of production. And that's not a very sustainable thing. And so it will not be very much protection for anyone. So that's one of the things when someone says we could just do it all with crop insurance, my answer is yes, but when prices go low and you get your insurance prices, the guaranteed prices that are in insurance developed by the futures market, when they get so low that you're not making money, if you have a loss, you're not even coming close to paying back, then that's going to be a problem. And that's what the proposal by Senator Stabenow would need to be careful of. Not that you can't do it. They just need to be mindful. That's what they would be doing.
How is some of the prior use of the Commodity Credit Corporation, the use of it as an ad hoc programming under the Trump administration and under the current Biden administration? Now they're using it for different reasons or different enablers. Right. But how is the use of that impacting the importance of this farm bill negotiation?
Well, I would say that, just as for your listeners, the CCC, Commodity Credit Corporation, a lot of people refer to that as the government's credit card, meaning that when we have commodity payments go out through the year, money is moved from the CCC to pay producers, and then each appropriations bill replenishes it. So what President Trump did when we had the coronavirus and even the trade war with China, he just went in there and he repurposed some of that money, knowing it was going to get replenished by the appropriations bill, and he repurposed it for ad hoc disaster. And then when the Biden administration came in, he repurposed it for climate smart commodities, $3 billion out to promote that. So, in asking the question about how it's producers don't really know. They just know the money shows up whenever there's a problem. But it has made it a little bit easier. President Trump basically showed the way of how to go in and use this money that supposedly, according to the whatever they call it, it's supposed to be used for market development. And so you can't just use it for anything, but it has tended to be used for disaster assistance. And it kind of got our producers thinking about pretty much every year there's a disaster somewhere, and are we going to get money? And so the CCC is a lot more reliable source than are we going to get an appropriations bill that will fund some of this disaster stuff. So it's complicated. I hate to say that it's complicated, but it's kind of a messed up deal is really the way to describe it.
Yeah. Now, we've been talking about the farm programming side of the farm bill, but there also is the SNAP benefit program that's on the other side of it or adjacent to. It seems like it hasn't been really a part of the narrative so far. Is that the case, or is my observation wrong?
Yeah, there's the last two farm bills, they spent so much time trying to justify making small tweaks to SNAP in hopes of being a little bit more efficient with it. But I'll just say this, and it probably sounds terrible, but the legislators are having a hard time even getting normal things done. They can't really afford to have the fights over SNAP that they've had in the past. And so I don't really see that as being a place they're really looking to get any savings this time.
The farm bill negotiations have traditionally been there's been lots of debate, but it really is a ground of bipartisanship where both sides of the aisle tend to try to find some common ground. Is that still the case, or is it becoming is this one a little bit more partisan in some respects?
Oh, Washington, I've been doing this. This is my 37th year messing around in this. And Washington and the Ag Committee used to be the least partisan thing you could deal with. And now it's less so than everything else, but it's still very partisan. And it's one of those situations where they talk a big game about they're going to work together, but they really don't.
Hmm. You mentioned if we do go past the election with this iteration of the Farm Bill, Senator Stabenow will be gone, not running for re-election. If we do have a situation where we have former President Trump in the White House, the Senate Republicans have control of the Senate and the House, how does that change things? What is that? What do you think the goals would be in that regard?
Well, that's very interesting because anybody who tries to tell you they know what's going to happen in Washington is crazy because we're even going to have the same speaker for the whole year, type thing. But it's unfortunate because either the House is going to flip Democrat because the Republicans have this splinter group that won't vote for anything, nothing. There's about 20 of them that very, 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 very conservative that won't vote for anything, and you can't get any bills done if your majority is about 8 and 20 people are not going to vote for anything you want to do. Then you have to be bipartisan, and that causes all kinds of problems within the party. Of well, we're gonna give that speaker the door, and we're going to find a different one. Things are so messed up that I'm not sure how this would really work, honestly. I do know that there's nothing normal about working in Washington right now, and there has been normalcy for most of my career doing this stuff, and the people are good, the people are trying, but if you have someone who thinks they were elected to not spend any money, which most Republicans are very conservative, then it makes it hard. The only difference was Trump got him to spend money last time he was in office. So I don't know what's going to happen, honestly.
Well, Dr. Outlaw, really appreciate you shedding some light on the Farm Bill negotiations. Really do appreciate it. Enjoy the Northern Pulse Growers meeting today in Minot, and we'll chat with you again soon.
Thank you. Good talking to you.